Hello, AfterBuzzers, and welcome back to the Black Love After Show, Episode 4, Mountains and Molehills, where we discuss deal breakers, love language, and even apology languages. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz.
Hey, I am so happy. All four of us are finally here on the panel.
Finally.
All of us Black Love super fans. Again, I am Taquaila Jackson, and welcome back to this week's episode of Black Love, Episode 4, Mountains and Molehills. I am joined by my lovely melanated co-host. To the left of me, I have Miss Zakiyyah.
Hi guys, how are ya?
Continuing on, I have Miss Erika.
Hey guys.
And last but not least, in her royal blue is Raiven.
Hi guys.
So again, ladies, our last episode, but it left us with so much juice to impact. So how about Raiven? Tell me about your final thoughts.
Look, I said it last week. I want some more.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, this cannot be. I was so confused. Like, this, it has to be another show next week because you're introducing new couples and just the even if it's not a new couple, some couples from this week weren't from last week.
Yeah.
So it's so much new information. And it's like, guys, how am I supposed to continue my relationship if you don't help me?
Key point, this is your therapy. Every Saturday night, this is therapy. Erika, how about your final thoughts?
I agree. I feel like I'm currently in a position where I'm trying to figure out my relationship. And so watching these shows week after week and this being the last one, I'm like, wait, I need a little bit more information to continue working on my own relationship and who I am as an individual in that. So Tommy and I don't want to mess it up. Cody, we need more.
And Miss Zakiyyah.
Well, we just got so many gems with this episode, and I feel like there were so many facts and different love languages that we learned of. And again, like you guys all said, give us more. We need it. We want it. We are craving it. So
I'm in combination with all of you because I feel like I've read love languages years ago when I was trying to do my self-growth. And I already kind of knew, but I was like, let me read and then take the test. And it was same thing for me. We'll get into if we all know it later. Yes. But then it was like apology languages. And I actually didn't even know Gary Chapman came out with that book until last night's episode. So I'm excited to introduce the apology languages for everybody who may not know what they are, and we'll list them later. And then also to try to find out where I fit in there.
wow.
Yeah.
But as we continue on today, I want to know, I guess we'll start with the tough things first and then end on a light love note because this is Black Love after all. What are deal breakers for any of you here? Do you know what your relationship deal breakers are?
I know mine.
Okay,
Lies.
we'll start with you.
If you lie, I can't do it. Like small lies, big lies, I think any lie is just a deal breaker for me. I just can't.
What about I don't know if it's a new term, but some people use, I'll call it excuse because I think it's an excuse, delayed admission. So it's not like they didn't tell you all of the information to whatever this story was, but then later you found out more, or then they decide to tell you more. Is that still a lie to you and a deal breaker, or?
So no, within reason. I mean, if you're just blatantly out here lying, I can't do that. It's just a no for me. But within reason, like if you had a delayed or we're having delayed conversations and there's a reason behind it and we talk about it and we get over it, like, okay. But no lies.
Raiven, Erika, do you know deal breakers or?
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind for me is cheating.
I'm with you on that. Okay.
Physically and emotionally. I actually think that it's worse to cheat on someone emotionally, which a lot of people might disagree with me about, which is fine. But I think the moment that you confide in another woman emotionally, that's like you no longer have trust in me. You no longer come to me as your confidant. So I think that cheating for sure would be hard for me to work through. I don't know if I would necessarily pack up my bags and leave. And it's funny because Sally and DeAndre kind of talked about this a little bit.
Right.
And Sally's saying, you know, if you were to step out, I don't think I would leave.
At
and
this
she was
point in
open
there.
and
Right.
honest. And I don't know if I would either. Not saying that I condone cheating. Obviously, it's a deal breaker.
Right.
But I think in a marriage where you have years in and you have children, is that something that you can work through?
Yeah.
Right.
I think I would ask myself that if I were married.
And the reasons behind it, what led up to it,
Right.
versus the actual action.
It would definitely hurt. It would take time for me to trust you again,
Right.
for sure. But years in again, I mean, that's something that you have to consider. So
I think the key is like years in. Don't just cheat. The
Right.
First day we know each other.
Then that's over. My bags are actually gone. Yeah.
my
They're
bags are
already
actually
in the-
out the door.
Exactly.
Right.
They're really in the trunk.
You have a good day.
Yeah, I'm with you on the cheating thing is not a deal breaker for me, actually, because it would be what led up to it. But mine is all character based, because I seem to get with people who are the complete opposite personality of me somehow, and that is a challenge. But it's character based. If I like to watch how people treat people.
Yeah.
Because I also learned that in my first situation that we talked about before being on air. If you will treat me a certain way because you want to be with me, but that may not be the truth if I see how you treat other people. And it's like, oh, you're really not a good person, or judgmental, or not honest, or all those kind of character things. I don't wait to figure that out if that's going to work or not. You know what? Bye. And sometimes I don't even tell the truth because I don't want it to be a conversation. I'll say,
I'm with you on
I'll
that.
make it like, you know what? I'm just not in a place for a relationship right now, just so I can exit.
It's me, not you. Kind of ordeal. I get you on that. But key point in saying that too. Dondre was saying that, and I had to think and sit with this for a second because I wanted to know like his breakdown and differences. But I think you just made it clear for me. He said men look to be males, look to be served, while men look to be of service. I was like, at first I had to rewind and pause that, like, what does that mean? But then as far as you just said characters and how you treat other people, and then I look at like my grandfather and think males in my life and how they are with me, it's their fault. I'm still single, actually. They just caught me too good. I don't put up with anything for the most part. But that's how your definition just really keyed into that as well. But so, sorry, were you about to say something?
No, I was going to say, it's funny how you said that because he was mentioning stuff about micromanaging. Like, he didn't want her to micromanage him, but he understood that he needed to compromise with her. So he would say, okay, after I made or done this, that check off to-do list, I'll run it by her. And that was his service to her because that calmed her anxiety.
Right.
So I just love that point when he said that. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Oh,
that
no,
was it.
no,
That was it. That was the gem. That was one of the
she might
gems.
she's a director. She might be slightly type A. And instead of trying to change her and make her not be type A, I'd schedule the dentist appointment, babe. Okay.
Ooh,
it just eases her mind.
That's growth too. That's growth too for you to not, and they say how to choose your battles, not to want to fight how she's telling you what to do, but then kind of go back and see how you can make what she wants you to do applicable for both of you. That's actually growth. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Look at all the Jews over here today. So
We ready for a relationship.
I know, right? We're going to be after all of this. We have Todd and Candy. And Candy, I love because I feel like what she says she means it, and she's really honest with it. But it was a point in there where she was like, I'm going to call men must-haves. And she was like, if you get in her car and her car is on E, or if the tank is not full, you ain't putting no gas in there, that's going to fire her up and it's going to be a problem. So at first I was thinking like, if it's low, I would expect you to. I don't think I'm going to be as mad as Candy would be. But do you have any men must-have ideals or thoughts?
That I agree with her with that. And actually his kind of nonchalantness about it, I was watching like, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Like, you want your woman at a gas station? Whatever that love language is, maybe it's acts of service. I would expect that too. And that would be, I would feel like a man should not want his woman out at a gas station having to do that, or so his kind of joking about it, I was like, I had a bit of an attitude watching, because I'm like her in that way.
I agree. So for me, like, my must-have would probably be flowers once in a while, like romantic things. But I agree, because he was even saying, I like to be served. Ty was saying, I like to sometimes feel like the man of the house. And if that's your must-have, then my must-have is place gas in my car. And it has to be a 50, or I guess 100% relationship. Not
and how do you
50-50.
feel like the man that she's talking about the trash is not taking out?
Right.
See, now that's one of my must-haves. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I would say for me, you have to be romantic. So you hit on it, bringing me flowers, opening my door, like making sure I'm good. And that's actually something that I'm in my situationship teaching, you know, like it's okay to be vulnerable and show like who you are romantically. And they talked a lot about vulnerability too. So we have to dive into that as well.
We definitely will. Good segue too, because my must-have is vulnerability.
Yeah.
I don't need it every day, all day, but there are moments where, and because for me, that is also how I show love, the quality of time, the communication. So when I do take it there, I need you to be able to meet me in that manner. Right. But I'm also big on like trash. I hate now as a single female. It's probably one of the reasons why I do want a man, if I was to ever say it like that. Can you take my car to the mechanic? Can you deal with all of that, please? Because I don't want it. I don't want to deal with none of it. I half the time don't know what it is. And because I'm in a different state than my father and my grandfather, they can't do it for me.
And so that's why I think it's trickery right now, ladies. It's trickery going on. Beyonce and all of independent ladies, I love you, but one, y'all wealthy. Okay, stop. Two, I feel like it's a trick because now the guys started making the songs too about independent woman got her own, doing her own, and I don't want to do my own. Okay, we want you guys to step in that way, if you will. You know, I don't like any of it. I don't like the way it's going right now with the independent movement.
Before we dive deeper into vulnerability and the love and apology languages, we have a live read that Erica's going to give to all of our AfterBuzzers.
Yes. So if you're watching us right now, we just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. You allow us to do what we love to do week after week. And so if you're on YouTube right now, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to watch us on iTunes, Spotify, give us a 5-star rating, and continue to chat with us. And we'll see you guys week after week.
Of course.
Definitely. We think that this is such a great show, and it goes into so much, not only self-development, but also relationships. And that's what life is. No matter if it's with the person you're married to, your mother, your parents, siblings. It's all about growing. And I think that as a collective, I can speak on all of us, where that's what we all want for people, for ourselves, the people that are connected to us, and just in the world, to all grow and to love self so we can love others.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in and chatting with us. So we'll go to the next kind of suspicion on vulnerability, but love languages. And again, I've read this book earlier on. I probably went through my 5 years ago now, the grow up stage in my life. And one of these was the love language books by Gary Chapman. I found that it was so profound because it made me understand me more and how I receive love and how I want to give it and how I have to be knowledgeable about that. So do ladies, first of all, have you read the book or you know of the love language? You took the test. That works because that's, you really need to. And you took the test, and do you know what your love language is or are?
I know. Look, I had my kids take it, and I was like, ooh, they're going to need therapy.
That's a good idea.
Like, my daughter's first one of them was physical touch. That's my last. And I'm always like, girl, I just hugged you.
Yeah.
Like, what's your problem? And then when I saw it, I was like, And then my other daughter's was the one affirmation, words of affirmation. And I'm not that way unless you're sad.
Yeah.
Unless something's wrong. So I was like, So those are my last two.
I
got kids where those are their first two. Yes. So it was quality time and acts of service were my top.
Okay.
And then the other ones kind of failed. And they were my top tied in number. And then the others kind of fell really low on the numbers.
Erica, do you know yours? Or?
I actually never took the test, but from just like reading the book and just knowing a little bit more about the 5 love languages, I would say I give off, or how I like to give love is acts of service. How I like to receive it, quality time for sure. Yeah. Like spend time with me.
Yes, that's it. Zakiyyah?
I've never, ever heard of love languages until this show, this episode. Yeah, good. So it was eye-opener for me, but even just hearing about it and then listening to Kevin and Melissa and their love language and how even Kevin was saying, like, sometimes I need you did a good job. I'm like, wow, that's real. So there are different types of love languages, and I'm going to read the book now, so I need to grow up.
No, we all take it and do it on time, so it's right on time for you because now you learned something new within the show.
Seriously, I think I do need to evolve and learn other love languages because that's a hard
wait for you to take it.
I know. I feel like that's why I'm single now.
No, I don't think that
you really know what you need.
But exactly, I was gonna say. So you want that beforehand. But so out of the 5 love languages, acts of service, quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, and physical touch, how I like to receive love is quality time and physical touch. How I like to give it is acts of service. And my quality time and physical touch was like 9 and 8. They were a point different. And again, I was listening to myself, like, what do I do? How do I see? And just how I've grown up and stuff. I knew that even before taking the test. But it's been hard to do. Like you said, you have children who are your bottom 2 or their top. It's hard to give. That's the learning process, how other people may be. Mine's are words of affirmation sometimes, because I feel like I'm a very loving, supporting, and genuine person. So I feel like that's enough. But like you go back to Kevin and Melissa, I'm not always well, you did so amazing. This was great. Thank you for taking out the trash. That made me feel great. You know, I don't always do that. I feel like if I'm encourage you in other aspects, that should be enough of my words of
which
affirmation.
Is how I think. And people who are words of affirmation, which I learned from my daughter, any kind of, I guess what comes off as negative or reprimand or adjustment, you almost have to say something nice first.
Yes.
Like, hey, thank you so much for doing blah, blah, blah. But you know what?
Right.
If you just say the you know what part, it becomes something else. And it's like, why are we arguing? I love you. Wait, hold up. So that's interesting how couples could end up in those kind of arguments because of it.
True. And I love what Melissa said, too, when she was saying intimacy was just not like body touch, but it was also having that connection.
Woo!
So I think knowing...
She was speaking.
They wasn't she?
Yes.
Those were your favorite couple.
Yes, my favorite couple, because I believe he says something along the lines of it's important to learn to love your partner the way that they want to be loved.
Yes.
And he used the analogy of like
the sweater,
the sweater and the shoes. Like he would tell her, for Christmas, I want these Nikes. And she'd be like, but you need these sweaters. Yeah. And so she would buy him the sweaters. And I just thought that was a good way to like tie in the fact that in order to love someone correctly, you have to be able to say like, how do you like to be loved?
If you love them.
Exactly.
Right.
And I feel like that's great with that love language. Like she needed that intimacy of that connection with us. He needed that reassurance that can you understand who I am? So for me, not knowing that book at all, that was my interpretation of it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I love that he also shared that, what you said, that he likes to be like patted on the back, essentially. Like, thank you for doing this for me.
Right.
I think that's something that I could adopt.
Yeah,
so
I like
go
them.
ahead.
When he
Write that down.
He said, I don't even feel my feelings. I was like,
That was real.
Yeah.
That was a real point.
He's like, I'm not trying to not say my feelings.
Right.
I don't even feel my feelings. That's
I
major.
agree totally on him because even like he said, the fear, the anxiety, whatever, I'm like him. I'll push it down and I'm still working towards whatever that is. It's not till someone ask me like, what do you feel, like what are you doing, like somebody like, why are you stressed out, why are you sick or something like that, and I sit and then I feel my feelings and it all just comes crashing at once and I'm like, oh, that's why. But it was insight to how other people perceive you as well, and from his wife wanting to make that bond with them. It's just overall you getting out of yourself, which sometimes as human beings is really hard in order to want to change for the person you're with. But I think it's a significant tool to have when you're married.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
So we're going to kind of segue into the next apology languages, but I have a question that I just want to pose first. Based off of Kathy and Luther in their conversation in the show, is the admittance of wrongdoing, will that suffice as an apology, or do you need for the person to admit that they did wrong and then apologize?
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Hearing them was insightful because I am with someone who does not apologize, and I want to strangle him, but he fixes it.
Okay.
So then I don't say anything. But I realize in listening to her, I don't know if it's something that maybe more emotional people versus someone that's logical. Emotional people need to hear the apology. And I'm emotional. And apologize. like I do need to hear that, but I guess it's the assumption. I see where he's coming from, but I assume when someone apologizes, that also means you're going to fix it.
Right.
Not I'm going to hear this same apology again, because then that's a bigger conversation.
Right.
So she's probably more emotional. He's probably more logical.
Raven, stop talking about me, okay? We'll get to that in a second as a why. But go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, I think I'm also emotional. So I need to hear you apologize, but I also need to know that you know what you're apologizing for.
Right.
So when you say, I'm sorry, okay, what are you sorry for?
Right.
You know, like, don't just say, I'm sorry. I need to know the full explanation. I need to understand that you understand that what you did just affected me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I need the whole enchilada.
Right. But I love how, like, Luther even brought that out. He's like, I'm not just going to say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry means that I'm just saying I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it again. But I'm also going to say, here's why, like you were saying, here's why I'm sorry, or I'm sorry, I won't do that again, and I won't commit that again because it made you feel like this, and let's talk about it. And I'm like Kathy. I don't like talking about I don't want to keep drawing a whole conversation for hours about something that we could just say, I'm sorry, this is how I felt, this is how you felt, let's move on. But I understand where Luther was coming from too, where we have to talk about this now, because later
it'll keep coming up.
It's similar to like David and Tamala with their tuna fish sandwich. It was like they were arguing about tuna, and then it was like, oh, and this, and last week you did this, and the week before prior to, and that last year. So no, but that stuff really happens, and I'm just like, those were eye openers for me, just watching those couples.
I don't think Tamala and David are still convinced that tuna subject is done with. I think they might still need a little counseling. I still felt both of their energies when they were talking about all of that. But so for me, I'm the logical person, and I, over the last maybe 2 years, have been growing to let myself say I'm sorry, or I'll apologize. It's been really hard, but that's how some of my more emotional siblings and cousins and family members are. For me, I'm thinking my actions will prove that I'm not going to do it, or I'm changing to do it. So for me to say I'm sorry, and if I do the same thing or something similar different, it's going to come back to that, and then back to the conversation of we're not only arguing about present tense, but we're also arguing about past tense, and I'm trying to grow the future, and it's just too much. So for me, I always think my apologies are not always taken well, and that they haven't been over life, I've learned, because I'm more methodical, I'm more logical. I'm like, well, how could I not do this wrong again? And I will, and it sounds like the point where they say your apology, mine's always were like, I'm sorry, but, and you shouldn't have the but in your apology. It should just be, I'm sorry, point blank, period, or and then the reasons of how you will not do it again. Right. But which goes back to our apology languages, and for those viewers and some of us who haven't read the book or know the steps, there are levels. And the first one says you have to express regret. The second one is accepting responsibility. The third is making restitution, or just how you'll make it right. The fourth is genuinely repenting. And then the last is requesting forgiveness.
Okay.
So I think
I did not know this was a thing.
No, neither.
5 steps. So I think in the midst of apologizing, once you hear different people apologizing, and how we all just spoke of either the emotional or the logical person wants to hear these. I think we all covered those levels and how it would make us better in our relationships. It's just the point where apologizing for some reason is really ego driven for some of us too, and it's hard to do. But I feel like
That's
if
when
we
you
have
get
now,
I'm sorry you feel that way.
That's not an apology to me.
Yeah.
Don't.
That's an argument starter, huh?
Those fighting words. No, I'm just kidding.
So I think those steps for us and for others watching would be great. And again, it's a book by Gary Chapman. If you want to read the whole book, it dives into how to do each of those steps for each person and each type that you may be. If not, just take the test, and it'll tell you where you can start at and which ones that you might need more work on. Because you may have 2 of the 3 already, but you need the other ones to work out better for you. Right. So last but not least, on our last episode, we have the last time we'll do the special segment, but it's always so fun, and Zakiyyah has been amazing with giving us these thoughts. I don't know, have we yet to figure out the couples?
We did last week.
We did, yeah.
That was
figured one out.
Darn. Okay, well, I'm ready this week, Zakiyyah. Take it away for us.
Are you guys? Okay. Don't cheat, because you're looking at my notes. Erica, I seen you peeping. Okay, guys. We are here. Okay. So this is Guess Who Couples Edition. They have to guess. and I'm gonna have a few facts. So they just celebrated their 5 years of marriage.
Okay.
All right. So Kevin Hart spoke at their wedding.
Oh, wow. What?
Okay.
Gabrielle and Dwayne?
What the? You looked at my notes.
I did.
Oh, you got it. You looked at my notes.
Okay, good.
So yes, guys, we are talking about Gabrielle and Dwayne Wade.
I need to
No,
know
they were on Instagram. I didn't know Kevin spoke.
Yes.
It's just they were showing their video on Instagram.
Yes.
And it's so fun.
They are the cutest guys. If you want to see their pictures,
really
it's
are.
here.
Yes.
And look at the little feet.
I love them so
Shady
much.
baby.
Oh my gosh, right? They are the cutest little things. We absolutely love Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. Well, the Wades, because she's Gabrielle Union Wade.
Hello.
But honey,
Yes.
honey, this couple is everything.
They are.
Yes. And I mean, they dance together. They do everything together. Their family is a beautiful, beautiful family, and so big and so glorious. So yes.
And you can legitimately tell that they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's
I
the
follow
part.
both of them on Instagram, and I'm like, they actually like each other.
Yes.
And speaking of cheating, which I don't think is cheating all the way because they were on a break, but he did have a break baby. And they
did.
overcame that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
remember,
handshake at their wedding was everything.
It was.
There was a video.
Best friends.
There we go.
Yes. And their wedding was everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want my wedding to be like that.
I might have to get some tips because I did hear that she didn't have bridesmaids. Do you guys know of that?
I don't think so.
see him in
No.
any of
I
the
don't think-
videos.
She
Yeah.
had a long walk, honey. And when I say dramatic walk, I need that.
Yeah.
That was life-saving.
I'm gonna have
Here
to
she
look.
comes.
She said it was like from here to
Egypt.
long walk, but it was really nice. It was really beautiful.
And I guess we can consider them Black love goals.
Yeah.
Black love couple to watch and continue to
Yes.
support and to learn
Hashtag
from if they would.
relationship
I'm sure
goals.
they're willing to take on that role, you know. So yeah. Instead of predictions, because we're not coming back next week, how about we'll do, what you may have learned and gained from Black Love Show. Anybody takers?
Oh, so much.
We're looking at you.
So much. It's funny that they're looking at me because I do talk about my, I'm not going to say a situationship because he definitely watches the show, but something that I'm in, still trying to figure out. But anyway, I think the biggest takeaway for me is you have to love your partner where they are. Mm-hmm. So releasing the expectations and verbally communicating like this is what isn't working, but because I love you, I want us to figure out how we could make this work. And also the love language part, he's very much so a acts of service, and so am I, but I would appreciate him doing a little bit more quality time. So vocalizing that as well. Just communication, because I think communication is huge. So
You heard her. You're watching.
Yes.
For me, probably honesty, more honesty. And it's not like, even when you guys are talking today, it's not that I'm not honest. It's just I don't say certain things. I adjust easily. It's just like, okay, whatever. But then later it might be an issue. And it's like, why didn't you say it before? So now I'm going to start saying everything.
And I think
like,
it's
hey, the way
okay.
you moved that phone, didn't like it. Bothered me.
Not so move it vertically and not horizontally next time, okay? Zakiyyah, do you have any overall thoughts?
Overall, just being single right now, I just want to be able to learn myself. I think we saw the couples took breaks and they were bettering themselves, especially Mecca with her meditation, her stones and crystals. So I think that's going to be very key when I do get into a relationship with someone else. And also just learning to communicate better, because I'm like a cancel, this is what I said, this is what you said, now whatever it. And we can't do that. We have to have communication. And then learning their love language. I'm going to read the book.
Yes.
I'm going to read
And
the
we're
book.
going to be here to cheer you on.
Yes.
Don't forget it there.
So those were a few key tips that I took from.
Okay. I think I'm going to piggyback off of you. I've done the work for myself, so I'm actually excited and happy about where I am as just a being. But I am excited to then get in that relationship and see how much I've actually learned, so that those skills are put into play. And then Michael and Mecca, but I'm going to go from the standpoint of Michael. I want to be able to be humble enough that when my partner or person is going through something dramatic, to be able to still change with him or her.
Yes.
That part that I could be able to see and get out of myself, or what idols or expectations that I might have. So before we finally say goodbye to everybody, we're going to go to Erica with just any more news that she has to share to keep you guys updated about the show and to give you further information about Black Love.
Okay, so first up we have Melissa. She posted to her Instagram a picture of her and Kevin. Love them. Yes. They were a part of what's called Friends First ATL Marriage Retreat. So they're going around the world sharing, how they were friends first and how their marriage has lasted for so many years. So I appreciate them for just, sharing their story and making sure that vulnerability exists in all relationships, because I believe that's something that they pride themselves upon too. And then next we have David and Tamala. Did I mess that up? Tamala?
No, you got it.
They actually created an album together called Us Against the World, The Love Project. I thought that was so nice.
Like singing?
To listen to that. Yeah. Apparently. He can. Yeah.
His knees ain't
So
ashy all
I'm
the
interested
time.
in hearing that. Okay. And then Black Love documentary posted to their Instagram. We talked about it, the apology languages.
Yes.
So if you are on YouTube right now, share down below what your apology language is. We'd be interested in hearing about that. But that's all we have for news.
And that's great. Thank you, Erica, for that information. I feel like the apology languages will be
wrong.
Yeah, he
admit that
doesn't.
he's wrong.
Yeah, he doesn't. I think this
At all. He's one of those, apologies just mean that you want to stop feeling bad for what you did. He's one of those people. Whereas me, I'm like, no.
Okay.
I want to hear you say your
I love
story.
that he said, "Can I speak for myself?"
This is what I said. For example, I'll give you an example. The other night, the tailor was coming over to the house, and she was asleep. And as soon as I opened the door, she jumped up. "What are you doing?" "I was asleep." And I'm like, she was frustrated because she was resting, but I couldn't, teleport through the room and get the stuff. So she stormed out the room, and I said to her, "I'm sorry, I apologize." And I caught myself. I don't like saying that type of stuff. So I'll say, "I should not have done that. Next time, I won't have him come." When you apologize, "I'm sorry," you're sorry you just want them to feel better about how they feel. And that's really for you, because you don't like that they don't feel good. So I may say it sometimes, but I'll be like, I'll say it, "I apologize, I'm sorry." But then after that, I'll say, I should not have done that. I understand why you felt that way, and maybe next time, I won't do this. Because that's
I feel
really
like that
the
would end
important
all
part. Because you can say, "I'm sorry," and keep
right.
doing the same crap. So that's how I look at that type of stuff.
Good
Yes.
stuff. Good stuff.
so
I like
in
him for
agreement
that.
with Luther.
Yes.
That helped me better to learn how to apologize when needed instead of the I'm sorry route. I think Luther and Kathy have sparked the continuation. So when we wait for Black Love to come back, we'll all know how to apologize, and our apology languages will be much better, and we'll all be thriving in our love languages already. So it'll just be a complete show, and we'll look forward to learn more from the rest of the couples and new ones that may come. As always, thank you for turning into Black Love After Show. We thoroughly enjoy doing this show every time the show comes back. Again, I am Taquaila. You can follow me at Taquaila_. I am Zakiyyah.
Yes, I am Zakiyyah. You can follow me at Zakiyyah W_ on Instagram. And watch on Wednesdays, I do David Makes Man.
Hey guys, I'm Erica, and you can follow me on all social media at Erica Joy TV.
Hi guys, I'm Raiven. That's Raiven with an I, Raiven, Raiven French on all social media.
And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.